everyone, this is Celine from Blue Calla Patterns. Welcome to the video series for the Buttercup bucket bag. I have one sample here to show you. I would consider this to be a medium-sized bag, but maybe more on the larger size. It has, so on the exterior, it has one large slip pocket, and it has darts at the corners, and it has a flap, but the flap is just to cover the opening of the slip pocket. It doesn't have any type of closure. It's really just to cover the opening of the pocket. On the back, it has an exterior zippered pocket. And it has I guess an oblong shaped bottom, and then it has an adjustable crossbody strap, and the main opening of the bag is a zippered closure. It has zipper panels, and then if we open that up, we have 3 slip pockets inside and an additional zippered pocket inside. Now the instructions are to make the bag entirely in fabric. I really love adding accents in either vinyl or cork, so I'll explain in the video what sort of changes you need to make to interfacing if you're doing like me and you're using vinyl or cork for certain portions of the bag. In terms of hardware and notions, it doesn't actually require very much. So you're going to need adjustable strap hardware for 1.5 inch wide strap. So you'll need 2 1.5 inch rectangle rings and a 1.5 inch rectangle slide. I'm also using a metal zipper end for the end of my main zipper closure. Some purse feet. These are optional. You don't need to add purse feet if you don't have any on hand, but I'm going to be adding some. In terms of zippers, I'm going to be using zipper tape. But in the instructions, I tell you what you need if you're using pre-made zippers or if you're using zipper tape. So for the main closure, you're going to need either a 16-inch pre-made zipper, or if you're using zipper tape like I am, you'll need 17 inches of zipper tape. For the back exterior zipper pocket, you're going to need either a 19-inch pre-made zipper, or you're going to need 12 inches of zipper tape. Now for these 2 zippers, you need a handbag size zipper, so a 4.5 or a number 5. For your interior zippered pocket, you'll need a 9-inch dress zipper, and I believe, yes. So this can be a number 3 zipper. It doesn't have to be a 4.5 or a 5 like the exterior zippers. So that's it in terms of hardware and notions. It doesn't require very many things. In terms of the pattern pieces, when you print them out, there's only one piece that needs to be taped together. So the main body piece has 2 pieces, and you'll have to cut them out and tape them together at the lines with the star symbol. You're not overlapping the line or the symbols, you're just going to tape them together like this. And then you have a slip pocket flap piece, your top band piece. So I'm going to show you what these are on the bag. So your main body piece, that's what you see here, here, underneath the pocket, as well as the 2 pieces inside the bag, the 2 lining pieces. The slip pocket flap is this piece. The top band, that's what you see here, this portion here on both the inside and the outside of the bag. The bottom pattern piece, that's this piece here. There's an exterior zipper facing piece that's hidden inside here, and you'll see that a little bit later during assembly. Oh, sorry, these two pieces do need to be taped together, my fault. So again, I forgot about this piece. So again, you're going to cut them out, and then you're just going to put these two lines with the flower symbol, you're going to butt them together, and you're going to tape. And then the last piece is your exterior slip pocket piece. That's this piece here. There are a few other things that you need to cut to measurements. So if you go on page 3 of your pattern, I'll show you what that looks like. I've included a cutting chart. So there are quite a few pieces that can be either cut to measurements or you can cut them with the pattern piece. But there are certain pieces, like for example, the exterior slip pocket, which has a curved shape. You need to use the pattern piece to cut those out. So in the cutting chart, I've named the pattern piece, if it exists, and the dimensions. And there are certain pieces like your interior zipper facing, your interior zipper pocket. Those are cut to measurements. Your rectangle ring straps, which are these holding the rectangle rings, those are cut to measurements, as well as the adjustable strap. And then the zipper panel pieces, they're also cut to measurements. So I'm going to go through the cutting chart and I'll show you all of my pieces. Some of them have already been interfaced. Some of them don't require interfacing. They're a little bit different than the chart because, as I said, I like to use vinyl or cork. So I'll go through each piece individually and explain the differences. If you're using all fabric, ignore the exceptions that I'll mention and just follow the chart exactly to cut out your pieces, your exterior pieces, your lining pieces, and your interfacing pieces. Okay, so I'm going to organize all of the different pieces that you need to cut, and we'll go through them. Okay, so we're going to go through the cutting chart, and I'll show you all of the pieces that I've cut. The first item is the main body piece, so that is either this pattern piece or you can cut to measurements. However, you will still need the pattern piece because we're going to do something with this little cutout here at the top, and I'll be showing you that next when we go over interfacing a little bit more. So with that pattern piece, you're going to need to cut out 2 exterior pieces and 2 lining pieces. And all 4 of those pieces need fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side. You'll also need to cut out 2 fusible fleece pieces, and we're going to cut out a little shape out of one of those pieces before we fuse them. And I'll go over that with you after we're done the cutting chart. Then you'll need the bottom pieces. So you'll need to print out 2 of these pattern pieces. You're going to cut one out along the exterior solid line, and then you're going to cut out the second one along the inside dash line here, and then this solid fold line here on the inside. Okay, and with that, you're going to cut out 1 exterior piece, 1 foam interfacing, and 1 lining piece. If you're using fabric for all the pieces, they should all have fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side. If you're using vinyl or cork like I am, then you don't need fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side of the bottom piece. Then with the bottom pattern piece cut along the inside dash line, you're going to cut out 1 piece of firm sew-in interfacing. I'm using Peltex for mine. For the top band, you can either cut to measurement or you can use the pattern piece provided. You're going to need to cut out 2 exterior pieces and 2 lining pieces. If you're using fabric, you should cut 4 fusible woven interfacing and fuse them to the wrong side. I am going to be using vinyl for both the exterior pieces and the lining pieces, so I'm not going to interface them at all. If you're using fabric, you will also need to cut 2 fusible fleece pieces, which you're going to then fuse to the wrong side of the 2 exterior pieces. So not the lining pieces, the exterior pieces. The slip pocket flap piece, that's the piece that you see here. Now, again, I've sort of made it a little bit complicated. I'm not using fabric, I'm using vinyl. So I cut both pieces out of vinyl. I don't need the fusible woven interfacing. If you are using fabric, you're going to need to fuse interfacing to the wrong side of both pieces. You're also going to need to cut out a piece of fleece. And it's fusible fleece, sorry. And you're going to want to fuse that to the wrong side of one piece, either the exterior or the lining. It doesn't really matter that much. Because I'm using vinyl, I do need to add a little bit of structure to this flat piece. So I've actually cut a medium weight sew-in, and I'm going to trim the seam allowance and insert it between the layers. I'll show you that a little bit later. But if you're using fabric, just follow the instructions that are in the cutting chart in the pattern. The exterior slip pocket. So that again, you're going to need the pattern piece. So that's this one here. And you're going to cut an exterior piece and a lining piece. I decided to use the same fabric for both the exterior and the lining. And I added my medium weight fusible woven interfacing. If you're using a lightweight interfacing, like Shape Flex, for example, would be a lightweight, then you're also going to cut 1 piece of fusible fleece, and you're going to fuse it to the wrong side of one of the pieces. I usually do it on the exterior piece. The exterior zipper facing piece, so that is a pattern piece provided. It can be cut to measurements, however, you'll want to print it out anyways and tape it together, because we're going to use this shape to draw out the correct shape for a zipper pocket opening on the wrong side. So for that, you're going to need 1 piece of exterior fabric, and you'll have fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side. Your exterior zipper pocket pieces. So you're going to cut 2 of those according to the measurements on the cutting chart, and you're going to need fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side of both pieces. Your interior zipper facing, that is cut to measurements. Let me just pull out my lining pieces here. So these are my 2 main body lining pieces, which I mentioned first. This is my interior zipper facing, cut it according to the measurements in a lining fabric and fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side. Then you're going to need 2 interior zipper pocket pieces, cut 2 according to the measurements provided in lining fabric, and again, fusible woven interfacing fused to the wrong side. For your interior slip pockets, you can either cut them according to the measurements provided, and I also added them to the main body lining piece. So you'll see a dashed line here, and it says slip pocket. So if you like, you can just use this if you prefer not to cut to measurements. You fold the pattern piece at that line, and then you use it to cut on the fold 2 lining pieces, 2 fusible woven interfacing fused to the wrong side. Your zipper panel pieces are cut to measurements. You should have 2 exterior pieces and 2 lining pieces. If you're using fabric for all 4, you're going to want to put fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side of all 4. I'm using vinyl for the exterior pieces, so I don't have interfacing on them. But if you're using fabric, there should be fusible woven interfacing on the wrong side of all 4 pieces. And then the last 2 things are the rectangle ring straps. The dimensions are there, and I added my medium weight fusible woven interfacing to the wrong side. And then I have my adjustable strap. You can make it whatever length you prefer, and you're likely going to have to piece together some pieces of fabric, because usually quilt weight cotton is about 42 to 44 inches wide, and you would want your crossbody strap to be a little bit longer. So I just cut 2 pieces, and I'm going to be sewing them together. I'll show you that when we make the adjustable strap. And you're going to want to use the width mentioned in the cutting chart so that we end up with a 1.5 inch wide strap. Okay, so I'm going to clear off some of the items here and make some space, and then we're just going to cover interfacing the bottom exterior piece, and we're going to talk about the fusible fleece for one of your main body exterior pieces. Okay, so we're going to prepare the interfacing for the bottom exterior piece. You'll need your foam interfacing, your exterior fabric, and the firm sew-in interfacing that you cut from the inner dash line of the bottom pattern piece. You're also going to need some fabric glue. I'm using Fabri-Tac, and your purse feet, and some clips. So first, what we're going to start with is we're going to glue the interfacing to the wrong side of our bottom exterior. And I'm just putting some glue. Looks like my glue has dried up a bit, so it's not coming out properly, of course. This only happens when I'm filming. It is very stuck. I'm putting a bit more than I usually would, just because it's not really coming out very well. Okay, it's not great, but it'll do. Okay, and then you're going to glue this to the wrong side of the exterior piece, and you're going to make sure that it is centered. So you should have about 1/2 inch of space all the way around. And then find something heavy and just let the glue dry for a bit. So I'm going to let the glue dry for a bit before we continue. Okay, so you'll now need the bottom pattern piece, and I've used my hole punch, and I've actually punched out the location of my purse feet. So you're going to, and this is optional, by the way. You don't need to install purse feet if that's not something you want for your bag. And then I'm just going to mark the location. You could either do it on the right side or the wrong side. I prefer to do it on the wrong side in case I make a mistake. So you flip over the pattern piece and you mark the location of the other 2. And now I'm going to use my hole punch, and I'm going to punch out the holes. Now I'm using vinyl and it doesn't fray, so I don't need to apply fray check to the holes. But if you're using fabric, then you really should apply fray check to the holes that you punch out. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it over to the right side and insert the prongs of my purse feet, and then flip it over again. I just open them a little bit, and then your washer should have two slits, one for each prong. Place that over and then spread the prongs to secure. Now, if you want to make sure that your purse feet don't come off, you should cover them with tape. You can use duct tape, or just make sure it's a really sticky tape. Don't want to use a weak tape. Sometimes what happens is you can kind of get your purse feet caught on something and then it tears out of the bag. So we have all 4 purse feet secured. I don't have any tape, of course, I didn't get it ready, but normally I would apply a piece of tape over all of the prongs. Then you're going to take your foam interfacing and you're going to place the bottom over top. And clip it to the wrong side of the bottom, and then you're going to go over to your machine and you're going to base the foam interfacing in place. I use a zigzag stitch because the zigzag stitch compresses the foam in the seam allowance and makes it a little bit easier to sew. But if you don't have a zigzag stitch, you can just use a regular stitch. And then once it's basted in place, I think I mentioned doing this later on in the pattern, but I like to do it right away. I just mark my centers on my bottom. So I'll mark it here at the fold line, and then you'll see the little line here, that's your center mark. You'll mark that at each end as well. And then your bottom will be ready to sew. You can just set it aside. Now I'm going to get my fusible fleece pieces and my pattern piece ready, and I'll show you how to cut out the part of the fleece for one of your main body exterior pieces and fuse it to the wrong side. Okay, so now you'll need your 2 main body exterior pieces, the fusible fleece pieces, and your main body pattern piece. One of the main body pieces and one of the fusible fleece pieces, you can just go ahead and fuse that fleece to the wrong side of that piece and then set it aside. This is going to be the front of the bag where we put the exterior slip pocket. So we're not doing anything to one set. For the second set, we want to do a little cutout for your exterior zipper pocket, the zipper opening, to make it less bulky and make it look nicer. So you're going to take your main body pattern piece and you're actually going to cut out that shape that is at the top of the pattern piece. Okay, and then you're going to take your fusible fleece and you're going to refold it in half. This should be exactly the same as when you cut it out. Okay, and then you're going to cut out this shape following this curved edge along your pattern piece. And then once you have the shape cut out, unfortunately I don't have my rotary cutter, of course, but once you have the shape cut out, then you can go ahead and fuse it to the wrong side of the remaining main body piece. And just remember, during exterior assembly, just make sure to pay attention to the piece that has the cutout. I will remind you in the next video when we're doing exterior assembly, but just something to keep in mind now. So that's it for the cutting and interfacing. In the next video, we're going to begin the exterior assembly of our bag.